Jared Polin, FroKnowsPhoto.com, and last week I put up a preview of animal IAF from the Canon EOS R5 and R6, and a bunch of people requested, well, the animals weren't moving, so does it really work? Why don't you try it on a human? So I borrowed little Daniel, and he ran around the garden, and I used IAF lock-on tracking, the regular version, not the animal IAF. Now, in order for you to see my electronic viewfinder, to see exactly what you would see if you put your eye up to the electronic viewfinder, I had to shoot like this with an Atomos up top, plugged into the camera, which this now becomes my viewfinder because the electronic viewfinder is blocked off, and so I have to either shoot like this, or I have to turn it this way and shoot like this. So if you see any motion or movement from me, normally I would be more stable because I can put the camera up to me like this, but in this case, I have to hold it out like this, but I think it's well worth it so that you can see exactly where the auto-focusing points are moving. So I used a bunch of different lenses, 70 to 200, 2.8 at 2.8, 24 to 70 at 2.8, 15 to 35 at 2.8, as well as an 85 1.2 at 1.2. So now let's roll those clips. So that was pretty cool watching the IAF in action. The Canon IAF has come a long way. Do I think it matches up to Sony's yet? It's pretty darn close, and it definitely is better than the Nikon. But again, this is just a preview. We are working on the real-world review, and when that gets out, we will share it with you as soon as it's ready. In just a second, I'm going to show you some of the sample RAW files so we can take a closer look. But what I am going to do is give you raw DNG files from the R5. I don't know that anybody else right now has the ability to convert the CR3s into RAW files. but I do, and I'm giving those to you. Just look for the link down below or the link that is on the screen, and you can download them and pixel peep all you would like. Let's take a look at this first image. So this is little Dan. This one is done at 85 millimeters at f1.2, base ISO of 100 and 1/800th of a second. Wow. The way that this is just so sharp on the eye at 1.2 is tremendous. This is raw straight out of the camera without any edits, but what I want to do right now is go over to FroPack 2 and click on AC/DC, and boom. With one click of the button, we have AC/DC, we have an edit. Now, is it perfect right off the rip? No, but it gives me a really good starting point, which will help speed up my raw workflow. Now, if you would like to check out FroPack 2, where AC/DC is a part of, go to FroKnowsPhoto.com/FroPack2. While you're there, you can play with the sliders to see the befores and the afters, and if you decide that you like them, and if you want to pick up FroPack 2, right now it is on sale, or if you'd like to get the FroPack bundle, you can save even more by getting FroPack 1 and FroPack 2 together. All right, let's jump back into these images. Let's go to library, because what you really want to see is how many of these were in focus. So right here, we're going to go through, what is this, 24 pictures? Let's highlight it. We've got 24. Let's just zoom in, because that's the way we're going to do it. We're going to one-to-one zoom in here and just keep going. That's in, hard to tell. It may be more on his mouth than his eyes there. That one looks to be in as well. That looks to be in, not in. So that's one that's not in, and another that's questionable. Yeah, that one's not in either. Either that or it's on the back eye, but I'd rather have it on the front eye. And then it got him back in focus right there. And then now his feet are starting to get out, but that's in. That one's not. That one is. And now his head's out of it, so it doesn't matter. But out of the 24, and that one's definitely out of focus. So that's like 3 or 4 out of the 24, maybe 2 that are totally out, and then a couple that are questionable. So that is pretty good right off the rip. Again, this is just to give you a preview quickly while we're working on the real world review. So let's jump to the next shot, which I believe is with a 15-35. I was really pleased with how well the IAF found the subject. Even when he stood up, walked backwards, ran forward, it's nice and sharp right on the eye, and it better be at 2.8 anyway. But I can rely on the autofocus, which is not something that I could have relied on to do all of the work for me in, say, the EOS R. It just didn't do what the Sonys can do. I'm a Sony shooter at this point with the A7R4 and the A9 II, and the lock-on tracking for those is fan-freaking-tastic. There's some things I do like better on the Canon side, and that's the way that I can easily switch from eye to eye, which is with this picture. Let me jump to that. That's this picture right here. What was going on is I noticed that it found little Daniel's face and it found Daniel's face. And what I could do there is just use the joystick on the back of the camera when my finger wasn't pressed against the shutter button halfway and just switch between which subject that I wanted. That is much harder to do on the Sony side, so that's something I hope Sony decides to institute or make easier for you to switch from subject to subject, because that's what happens if there's more than one subject in, because that was a question people had. Bouncing back to this, 85 1.2 again, at 1.2, beautiful, right there on his face. Is this? Are we one? Yeah, this is 1:1. There's so many freaking megapixels. But look how nice and sharp it is on the eye at 1.2. And you saw in the video, he just moves fast. He doesn't stand still for long because this isn't the best composition. I'm upset that I am not even left to right, because you can see I cut off his left sleeve more. I know most people won't notice that, but I notice it. So we showed you that picture. Then we had another running picture at a distance. I don't need to show you that whole sequence, but look how nice and sharp that is. I'm really happy with the results there. And then the final one, where this was a split second. The only way that we could get little Daniel to look up and past me, you can see this right here, this shadow, or this reflection. That's Dan holding a ball basically over my head. That's me shooting the picture. Let's go in 3:1. That's me shooting the picture, and that's Dan holding the ball, and that's little Dan looking up there for a split freaking second. This is not something you do very easily with a 85 1.2 version 2 on a DSLR. You are not going to hit a ton of shots with subjects moving fast with the DSLR. That's just not going to happen. So if you have questions, things you want us to test out, please leave them down below. One of the major things on the list to test out is EF lenses, or REF lenses with the adapter, because a lot of you guys who haven't jumped into mirrorless yet are looking to do that, but aren't going to dump your EF glass to pay for the RF, which I don't think you really should right off the bat if you are just looking to get into mirrorless and you already have the Hebrew Trinities and other good lenses. I'm going to do some tests with that during our real world review so that I can tell you, how does it work? Does it work seamlessly? Is it worth it to keep them, or whatever else you need to do? Don't forget, check out FroPack 2 at FroKnowsPhoto.com/FroPack2. Pick up the bundle, save even more, because it can save you time as well as give you a great starting point. So that's it, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Jared Polin, FroKnowsPhoto.com. See ya.